Okay, on to the protester in the room. Our Parliament grounds look like a trailer park crossed with Woodstock. And if torrential rain and the horrible winds of the weekend didn't drive them out, what is going to?
These people are unwelcome. They are interfering with the normal life of Wellingtonians. And you think it's a joke.
Hold on. When did I say I think it's a joke?
You're supporting them.
I've seen a lot of protesters in Wellington. When you live in Wellington, you kind of just get used to it. And this is the first time where I've seen them being ignored. And I think that's creating a little digging in mentality of that not one MP has come out.
The bigger picture here, you've got to start engaging with them. You've got to stop mocking them and making them out to be fringe minority nutbags, because they're not.
You think the police are doing a wonderful job?
They are doing a wonderful job, Dean. Do you want people hurt?
No, but I just think arrest some and then arrest some more.
Dean, start looking at it like logically. Can you remember back to Thursday when all those arrests were happening? People were coming from all over the country.
I listened to Jacinda yesterday, and please don't get me wrong, I'm double vaxxed, I voted for her, and I'm kind of ashamed now that I did. I can't stand what this has done to our country. You know, what happens if we're going to be the party that governs for all New Zealanders? That's not what I'm seeing. Not at all.
What kind of leadership do you want? What kind of government? Shall we continue with the fear and the constant emergencies and the lockdowns and the mandates and all the rules that divide and isolate us? And shall we continue with the demonising and censoring of anyone who disagrees with our government? Or shall we try a new leadership, one that builds community, that brings us together and unites us?
Ki te atu I runga rawa he maungarongo ki tono iwi rungi I te whenua. Gloria nui me te honere te matua kaharoa I kunne ngā wahi katoa I naene ake tonu atu. Āmene. Look at what we have created within the last 8 days, people. Set up this beautiful village, a community within a community, a city within a city, a nation within a nation, and it required no political influence, but it came from the people power and not the political power. The moment political stuff starts putting their mitts in this, they will start to segregate us, separate us, and divide us. But give yourselves a round of applause for people power over political power.
If you wanted an illustration of just what it did to people, we were in this truck and this guy who was a Wellingtonian just came and he was drawn to just look out for us. He would say, well, what do you need? Then he'd come back the next day with all these battery packs or with games for the children or everything really. You know, he said how it made a big transformation in his life. The people there were just an extraordinary mix of New Zealanders. We were so different from each other, and yet we had this common purpose, and we were united in that in a way that it's very hard to feel that sort of unity in regular daily life.
But on top of that, people, look at the environment that we have created here, an environment of aroha. Somebody say aroha. Do you know what aroha means? It means love. We've created that environment here. On top of that, we've created an environment of whakawhanaungatanga. Whakawhanaungatanga means supporting one another, despite your differences, your belief or your culture. Then on top of that, manaakitanga. Somebody say manaakitanga. Manaakitanga means we are all the same. We can work together in unity.
It's talking about love and truth.
A friend of mine then went and saw our member for Central Auckland, Chloe Swarbrick, and Chloe tried to say, she felt frightened. She looked out the window and she saw all these hordes. And my friend just said, "You are lying. There was nothing like that at all." But they were all told by their party leaders they couldn't go and speak with us. It was just an absolute failure of any kind of proper representation.
And that is true.
At the front of this place, there are people who I think we all feel for. There are some people who are confused, there are some people who are scared, there are some people who have been manipulated by an avalanche of misinformation. There are some people who have been hurt over the past couple of years and they're lashing out, and we feel for those people. But underneath all of that, Madam Speaker, there is a river of filth. There is a river of violence and menace. There is a river of anti-Semitism. There is a river of Islamophobia. I would say, Madam Speaker, that there is a river of genuine fascism in parts of the event that we see out the front of this Parliament today. And I just urge colleagues in this House to not give succour and comfort to an emergent and dangerous far-right movement.
Michael Wood. I think he was doing that to just cause more divide and more hate, just to upset those watching the TV.
Everyone say Aotearoa. That's another word for beautiful. That was lovely. Okay, whānau, let's have another hug, please. Turn to some people, have 3 hugs.
But it didn't really work like that. I think it got people more determined that we are not the river of filth. We're caring, we're kind, we're loving. We just want someone to come out and talk to us for freedom, for mandates to drop, vaccine passes to stop, and for children to be able to go back to living a life of being kids.
So whānau, it's amazing that you've all made your way here. I just want to honour everybody for being here. For me, when I arrived, I looked at what I could do to support, and I ended up holding this microphone for 9 days. And that's something that I'm comfortable to do, and it's a privilege and an honour. For me, that's how I can help. So for all of us here, I really feel it's a matter of tuning into your kete of wisdom, your skills, and finding your place in this space.
Why can't you see the same as me? If we play the game of this rock race, is this normal?
Some people, it might be working in the first aid. Some, it might be giving midi massages to heal us and keep us in good shape. Some people, it might be offering yoga like they will be doing 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So whānau, I want you to look for your space, finding how you can best offer your energy to this kaupapa.
Democracy isn't going to work unless you agree. It's open discussion, and yes, you're still not going to agree or disagree on all the matters, but at least you're actually listening to everyone. And so him saying river of filth and trying to make people hate is pretty disgusting, really.
Enough is enough.
One of the biggest things that kept us together was the music. When you're moving together and you're singing together and you're just on the same frequency together and you just become unbreakable.
Call me a dreamer, a goddamn believer, with no other side. There's another fight in front of us. We want freedom, give us our freedom. We're here to love and rise above. Enough is enough.
They didn't know we could do this. And I'm so happy to see everybody coming together. And as we get more and more unity and people get braver at speaking out and sharing their stories, we're learning that the things that we've been going through were not just us, but they were shared by each other. We're doing it with love, aroha. We're doing it with unity. We're doing it by creating the world that we want. And it's going to take every single one of us, because every single one of us have got a piece of the puzzle to create the future that we want. And I'm just wondering how much is helping our mental health to be able to be together and feel like we are part of something so much bigger than ourselves.
One of the great examples of people power and unity was the 7 ladies that went to prison. There was around about 120 people got arrested on that first Thursday, and these 7 ladies collaborated and they wouldn't sign their bail conditions, and that meant the police put them into a women's prison for the weekend, and that turned out to be one of the very best things that they possibly could have done, because in the end this unbreakable 7 ended up being thrown out onto the streets by the police because they were obviously not going to change their minds. And because they did that, all 120 people that were arrested on that first Thursday, all of them had their bail conditions dropped because the judge had no choice.
Holding the line, do not sign, was our mantra. And I tell you guys, we could not have done that without 7 of us. There's something magic about 7. Every single one of us did something along that journey of 5 days in our incarceration that kept us strong, kept us together, and helped us to do the job that we were here to do, which is to make change in our country and to be heard.
And whilst they were there, they were in different cells, and they used music to keep their spirits up, to keep their unity. They're standing firm, they're not giving in to something they haven't done, and then to use the singing as a way to endure it and to not lose hope just showed how they were able to find a way to be powerful together, even though the police had done everything they could to divide them.
You can shove those flipping devils up your ass. You can shove those flipping veil phones, shove those flipping veil phones, shove those flipping devils up your ass. 'Cause we will keep on camping on the grass. We will keep on camping on the grass. We will keep on camping, keep on camping, keep on camping on the grass. We can shove Jacinda's mandates up her ass. We can shove Jacinda's mandates up her ass. We can shove Jacinda's mandates, shove Jacinda's mandates, shove Jacinda's mandates up her ass.
You know, none of us were professional protesters. Most of us had never protested a day in our lives. So for those ladies to come together in that way, it's either instinct or it's intellect. And then when they're out, they're going to have those bail conditions dropped for 120 people. That's a heck of a slap in the face. But that's what unity does. If they'd stayed on their own, they couldn't have achieved that. But together, they were powerful. In fact, together, they won.
On the right side of history that lasts, we'll be the heroes of history with us. We're on the right side of history, you're on the right side of history, the heroes of history with us.
So I have been a registered vaccinator, so I'm not anti-vaccine at all. I saw the value of it, and I was really proud of being a registered vaccinator because I had to have a degree in nursing, which was 3.5 years training, and then you had to then go and do the vaccination certificate, and you were always really encouraged within that course that it was about informed consent. So I would explain to the mothers that that nothing's without risk, but what I'm doing here is perhaps giving your child better odds. And I then had to print a consent form and get the mum to sign to say you are okay to do that to my baby. So where are we? We're at
the appeals court.
The appeals court in Wellington, right opposite the protest right now where we're fighting for these mandates to be removed. And the first line on the wall states every person has the right not to be subjected to medical or scientific experimentation without that person's consent. Look at it.
That's the Bill of Rights.
Yeah. Is that the Bill of Rights?
That's on the Bill of Rights.
What I would like to say is that I became aware that what was occurring wasn't informed consent, and I can't stand for that, because that's my trade. It's about informed consent. So noting that Jacinda was coercing people into taking this vaccine by, if you don't do it, I'm going to stop you working, I'm going to stop your kids playing sport. It's blatant coercion, and I'm not okay that that's the New Zealand that this is evolving into.
And you've lost your job over this too?
Lost my job? No, I gave it away. I can't play in that sandpit. It's given me great joy, nursing, and so to have that removed took away that joy. And I've pushed through, and I've really connected with this cause, and I've met some beautiful people, and it's helped me. And the full circle irony of this is that coming here has given me a job in the medical tent. And I'm so goddamn proud. Like, I feel me again. It's so cool.
You get to wear a New Zealand flag to work now.
Look at my uniform. Upside down, by the way.
Why is it upside down?
Because we're in a state of distress, can't you see? I feel it here. The Wairua is strong, the people are waking up, and we're on the right side of this. We've been told we're the minority, and we're idiots, and we're anti-vaxxers, and we're tinfoil hat wearers, but nah, that's not what this is, man. I always thought that I was just here to get the mandates removed and give us freedom of choice again. But in the last couple of days, it's become very clear to me that instead of engaging with us and listening and caring about what we're saying, they're pulling our hair and putting sprinkles on our women and children. And I don't want these people leading us anymore. If these people can hear the fact is you're hurting our babies, and yet they don't care, yeah.
So quite often in the village there came times where we would hear whispers that the police were coming or the riot police were coming, and we needed to be alert to them trying to come and take over. And so I was on night shift, and so I hear there were police at the top, and so we are running through, this is 3 a.m, and we start running through the village, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. I had no voice the next day. There was just a whole lot of us with, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? I couldn't comprehend what I was looking at. I couldn't understand what I was looking at. I couldn't relate to what I was looking at.
Right, here we go. Right, here we go. Listen up. Wellington. That's right. Remember who you are. That's right.
Just push this man.
Nobody's fighting. Nobody's fighting. Someone film it.
Police by consent. Get us out of police. Police by consent.
Where are you guys going? What are you doing? Where are you doing here?
They're blocking every single entrance with big concrete blocks. I mean, they're not advancing, they're going to go to the next one first. That's what they'll do. They're working one at a time. So they'll be going to that one next.
Police Commissioner's obviously decided to follow Canada's route instead.
Hold the line, means turn your back and link your arms. Turn your back. Hold your line, means turn your back and link your arms together.
Don't engage. Okay.
Peaceful people.
Can you please do a recap for those that just joined in? Yeah, sure, hun. So see these trucks and that forklift? They've been going around every single road putting blockades in like this, right around Parliament. Apparently they've said that there might be a state of emergency. But look, the people, without any of their own security or whatever, have made peaceful blockades back from the police. It's not like everyone's running at the police. No one's armed. Where is the state of emergency? The only emergency is Jacinda's lack of compassion for her own people.
What do you think they're actually doing, Sue?
They're just trying to isolate us.
Relax, people, relax.
So what is the objective, Chantal? That's a good point. It looks like they are just trying to block the roads, allowing like a little gap for in and out so that people don't keep parking over the road. However, I can't confirm that.
People up there.
Oh shit. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh jeez. Oh no, this is turning into a mess.
Everybody breathe. Hold back. It's okay. You're simply stopping extra cars coming in. They have been asking for a long time for cars to allow access. They are simply stopping extra cars coming in. So don't get stressed. Calm down. Actually, remember, they didn't do their jobs, right?
Did you tell the people, Leighton?
We haven't
Why
done
didn't
it.
you tell us
They
this
have
was
got no
happening?
clue. Only telling you what's going on, alright? If you don't know the message, that's fine. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm simply telling you what's happening. That's all I'm doing.
You made the agreement that this was okay.
I didn't make the agreement. They told us this was going to happen.
And you told nobody?
I did. I told the leadership team, but I should have come down and been more vocal earlier. That's what I did wrong.
We all should have known about it, brother.
I get that. I totally get that on this one.
Do you get that?
Apologising. It's not the police's fault, okay? I'm going to tell you how it happened, people, so you actually understand from the horse's mouth. For the last week, the police have been asking us, can we clear a lane? People are saying, I'm not moving, that's their right as free individuals. Unfortunately, what that does is makes it too hard for the police to get any leeway with us, right? And it's not the police's fault, it's the fault of the people in Parliament. Because they refuse to come down and talk, and they call us names, and they call us scum, and they call us a river of filth, and they call us neo-Nazis. But because the police have made no leeway, they have said we have to block the entrances to stop more cars coming in. So you can still leave if you want, but you will not be able to bring more cars in because they need the roads back. And conflict is a result of them not doing the job. It's not the police's fault, it's not everyone else's fault, it's their fault because they won't come down and actually talk. And all they're paid to do is talk to us, aren't they? All they're paid to do is represent you and I, and they refuse to come down and have a decent conversation. I can't...
I know some people have lovely stories to tell about the police, but for me, there wasn't a willingness from them to engage with us and help us come out the other side of this. So we marched into Parliament grounds and we sat there and we wanted at that moment to have a dialogue with Parliament, but there was never an engagement with us. We learnt that pretty quick. No one was interested. So then what we saw in the behaviour of the police was an extension of that. As a nurse working in an emergency department, police used to be my colleagues, and we together worked through making things better for people. That's what they were about. But I came across a completely different police officer in that environment. There wasn't a willingness from them to engage with us and help us come out the other side of this. They've got a job to do and it's not to talk to you. And it was mind games. It was wake everybody up at 3 a.m. to keep them fatigued. They were trying to make us tired. They were trying to confuse us, trying to make us weak. And this has been really, really hard to understand. They were an extension of Parliament, and I didn't know that the police worked for Parliament. I thought they worked for us.
Morning Wellington, thanks on the facts, welcome. I, Optimus Prime, calling you to unite and end the mandate. Morning Wellington.
I'm a kaitiaki of the peace, of love. I come here humbly to help us come together with unity and love and the frequency that we want to set for the day. So we have an amazing opportunity here to step into the frequency of love and togetherness, what we're really creating here. The opportunity that we have in this space is to create the world that we want to see going forward. Breathe in, Aroha. Breathe in, community. Exhale, exclusion. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
It's beautiful that we can start our day with different karakia from different faiths and beliefs. So I just want to acknowledge how far we've come with all of our different religions and beliefs and stories and groups that we're representing, and here we are. Was anybody on site and got woken up a bit abruptly this morning? Okay, so the karakia that we've been doing is to help settle our nervous system, because that's a bit of a rough way to start the day, eh?
I want to pass on the message of peace, and I've heard lots of that during this whole 2 weeks, and I'm really encourage you to do that. The ruling class up there are so out of touch, and those comments about this being a river of filth and we're anti-Semites and Islamophobes and all that rubbish just shows how out of touch that they really are. I want to also say to you that I used to be a policeman, and I have a son that's in the job. I know there are policemen that came down from up north that are anti the mandates, but they are doing their job on the other side, but they are dead against the mandate. So I can tell you that's a fact. So I really want to say to you, the peacefulness that I have seen, I want to encourage that. As far as I'm concerned, we've already won this, regardless of what happens. I can tell you that the police, you know, they're closing in, I get that. What we do is we just avoid getting arrested. They'll eventually probably start encircling us. There's probably undercovers amongst you there. Don't worry about it. What I'm saying to you is they're just doing their job and they're using their tactics. We don't want to fight them. We've made our point. And I'm not saying go home. I'm just saying we have won this already. If I ever thought of a reason, a cause to fight for, it's body autonomy and our own basic human rights. We are on the right side of this. Keep up the good fight. It's awesome to be here, and I encourage you all. Thank you very much.
So this period of time was a bit disconcerting for me because I'd been there for the first week or so, and then I'd had to come home to do some personal business. And while I was away, watching the news was very surreal because what I was seeing on the news and what I was actually experiencing when I was on the grounds was poles apart.
I don't think there was a fair and balanced approach by the media at all. I think we saw that on that very first Thursday where Chantal was streaming a live stream of exactly what was happening, and the media bulletin was shots from what they took from some distance away with them giving their opinion on it. And they were two totally different stories. That's the trouble. If they were the same story, told slightly differently, that's fine, but it wasn't.
They had a definite way that they wanted to portray those at the protest and to twist things to such a point that it appeared that way in their narrative.
You know, they were calling us the river of filth, you know, white supremacists, about everything under the sun, just to try and make us look bad, trying to tell us that there was rubbish everywhere and trying to say that people were flushing their toilet compartments into the middle of the streets and into the sea, which definitely wasn't true.
They were saying some nasty things, you know, things like you can't walk through there with a mask because you will get harassed. And so I put that to the test and I walked through Parliament and all I got was people looking at me smiling. I was really disappointed. I was hoping that someone would have a go at me so I could turn around and then say, you are the type of person that mainstream media is zoning in on and making us look bad. You need a different approach. But it never happened.
Yeah, when we talk reporting, I mean, the other really interesting part was the helicopter trip. Someone had offered to sponsor helicopters so Chantal could do a flyover both what was happening in Wellington and what was happening in Picton. So they did the flyover of the Wellington protest and then they landed to change choppers to go over to Picton, and basically the pilot got told, no, you're not. You know, we've got the disinformation project that goes around saying, oh, these are all misinformation people. Well, actually, we were stopped from people getting all the information themselves. Government officials would not allow the people in New Zealand to see the whole story.
The helicopter pilot has just had a call from the senior sergeant of the police requesting that we no longer fly. Why are they not wanting to show what's really going on there? I'm asking you, Senior Sergeant, what are you trying to suppress?
We use the term gaslighting, but to me it was even more malicious than that. There was that case with Phil being eye gouged. It's quite obvious to see how that went down, yet it was portrayed by the media that it was his fault. Well, if standing there voicing your opinion justifies a police officer going for your eyes, it's disturbing. I mean, for an officer to do such an act like that, that is filth. It's very hard to rationalise that with how the media portrayed that. Where's the news reporting on when things haven't gone right from the police side of it? Why is that being kept suppressed?
All around there now, they close that off.
Well, can you just tell us what's going on here? They've come to move the bollards and they're just going to move the bollards and we're all, we're just here protecting our ground.
And so what's happened to you in the past?
There was a bit of clash at the Portaloos a couple of days ago. One rogue officer attacked me, unprovoked. He was one officer. There were other officers there. They had to shield fight these guys. They did not attempt to harm anyone. They just pushed them back. They were just doing their job. One rogue officer, that's all.
And so what do you suffer?
As you can see, quite a bit of damage to my eye socket.
So there was a sense that, yes, we were going to be removed from here, but I think the importance then became of getting our stories out.
You know, they were just average people, but they all had a story to tell of whether they'd been alienated from their families or they'd had to give up work or they'd been sacked, and their testimony was being ignored. And that's very, very dangerous when you ignore people giving their testimony, which is, this is what happened to me, and you're saying we don't care or we don't believe you or so what. And that's something really healing when you find out, actually, it's not just me. It's actually happened to a lot of other people with the same story. And part of that healing was the fact that they were being listened to, and that was a beautiful thing. you know, we were hearing each other's pain, but also sharing dreams of each other for the future. What does it look like for us as a nation going forward? Because what Wellington showed us is, despite all our differences, our cultural differences, racial differences, our economic differences, we all could work together for a better nation, and it was showing that it was achievable, and the secret was allowing people and encouraging people to work to their strengths.
Mum, were you on the side of peace and love? Dad, were you on the side of peace and love? Granddad, were you on the side of peace and love?
So now with 2 lines of love. Oh, I love this one. There's much peace and love. They can't just pick them up and work them. How do you get one?
That's it. This is some great news. This is some great news. Some of you will know, and you'll be aware, that the Defence Force and the police have been under the vaccine mandate, and they have been challenging this in the courts. Well, I'm proud to say that we've just received confirmation that the Wellington High Court has today ruled that this order made by the government is an unjustified limitation on fundamental human rights. That's it. Give it up a shout. And the courts have ruled that the order is illegal and have struck it down, removing the mandate. Give it up for a policeman. Give it up for the New Zealand Defence Force. They have ruled it illegal and they have struck down the mandate. This is a major, major victory, not only for the NZDF and police staff affected, but this is a victory for all New Zealanders. Let's pray and believe that this is going to be the first domino of a major domino effect that's going to go right throughout the country to say, end these stupid mandates. No more mandates. No more mandates. No, that's it.
It actually was about freedom of speech, because what happened is those people came there with a voice and with a story to tell, and they were told, no, you can't speak, we're not going to hear it, and we won't have you share your story. We must maintain the ability for free speech, because without it, we're stuffed. It's the history of the world, it's nothing new. Without it, any totalitarian dictator can come along and control what you do, what you say, what you're allowed to think, what you're allowed to share, and eliminate those talk or say differently. And so it absolutely was the ability of people to have free speech and share, and they got to do that outside of the mainstream media and outside of government. They still managed to have their free speech and have it heard.
For the past 2 years, so many New Zealanders have sat and wondered what on earth is going on, what is our government doing to us in this country, and finally we're having the opportunity to have that conversation, and it's just been met with absolute silence from the other side. But worse than that, as you will hear from some of these people here, when you do try and speak up at the moment in this country, you are met with not just criticism, you are met with abuse, you are insulted, you are told that you're full of misinformation and that you're dangerous. And all of these things are just simply unacceptable in a democracy and in now 2022.
Rory had his first Pfizer shot on the 5th of November. He complained of a heart flutter that night. After this, he didn't complain about his heart for days and was more worried about the awful headaches he was experiencing.
I received my first dose of the Pfizer vaccine on the 27th of August 2021, and since then I've experienced 6 months of ongoing pain, cognitive impairment, and a swarm of adverse reactions.
On the 17th of November, Rory was unable to sleep as he had a strange feeling in his chest. He was concerned and we agreed to head to the hospital. Seconds later, I heard Rory drop to the floor in our bathroom and he let out an excruciating and disturbing sound as he fell. His body was blocking the door and I couldn't get to him. I could see through the crack of the door that my 26-year-old fiancé was dying.
Onset of these symptoms happened within 2 to 3 days of the vaccine. It exploded on the 6th day, and subsequently over the weeks and months since, I have had several extremely bad flare-ups. I have worked my whole life. I have paid my taxes, and I have been a law-abiding citizen of New Zealand. Where there is risk, there must be choice. And if a government opts to remove that choice, they therefore must be liable to compensate those whose lives they have so grievously affected.
It's really difficult to know what to say.
Not alone, there's so many of us like this.
I know, and that's one of the things I wanted to say, is that it's what you're one person speaking on the screen, but you represent so many.
We eventually got the result that Rory had died from vaccine-induced myocarditis, swelling of the heart, and pericarditis, swelling of the fluid or sac around the heart. Since going public, I've had messages every few days about other deaths, and I don't believe we will ever know the true damage that has occurred. Because of the division this vaccine has caused, I've lost friends and family over Rory's death, as they consider me an anti-vaxxer. If Rory had died in a car crash or a hunting accident, I would be surrounded by love and support. Instead, most people feel too awkward to talk about Rory and his death because of the controversy surrounding the subject.
This is how the narrative has made people so irrational. I really want people to understand we have to build a bridge. We have to be sympathetic to everybody in this conversation. There aren't sides, there are shades.
I'm self-employed, so I'm not mandated, but I have many friends and family who have taken the vaccine purely out of coercion because they have had no choice. Because if they don't take it, they have no way to feed their kids. They have no way to pay their rent, to pay their mortgage. This is the most emotional place I've ever been in my whole life. And it's beautiful, it really is. The spirit here, the mana, so genuine, and we're all here for a common cause, and that is for the future of our great nation.
Yeah, I'm here because I had a family friend, a man I've known since he was in diapers. His name was Dorian. He got his first vaccination, he felt very unwell. He was terrified about getting a second one. He got the second one, he didn't turn up for work one day, and my auntie drove down the road to try and find him. She found him dead on the road next to his bicycle.
My grandmother, she got injured after her first vax. She's had angina attacks for 10 years, and just before the vaccine, just before she got her vax, actually she didn't have any angina attacks for 2 years. She got her first vax and her angina attacks came back, and after her second vax, 4 weeks later she had a triple bypass and needed a heart pacer.
Now since they've come up with all these vaccines for children, I have an 8-month-old son and I love him with all my heart. Here's why I am here today, to try and put a stop to all of this. And all the people here standing together is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in my entire life. And I would like to turn and say something to the police. Any one of you that want to take off your jacket and join us, you will find nothing but love from all the people. That's all I have to say. Thank you all.
The other thing I wanted to say, which I think is not being heard out there, we're hearing all sorts of stories about the protesters and the protest, but I promise you, if we'd held this event down in the middle of the protest, you would have heard a pin drop. These stories, being open-minded and listening, this is what that protest is about. They want to be heard and they want to listen.
Is heartless the wrong word? It's almost like they don't want to hear. The mandates were pure evil. They've tried to drive us apart. People say, oh, you got a choice. But to make that choice meant that you had to abandon people. You had to give up your career. You had to give up your means of income. The sense of why? Why would someone put me in this position? And then you've trusted your government. You've trusted your doctor, and suddenly you're left alone. No support, and told you're a hypochondriac, told you're overreacting, it's your imagination. That's a level of psychopathy that we've never experienced, and I think that's what is the dissonance that people are feeling. The last day, what can you say about the last day, man? I'd done night security down on the bottom gate, and we knew that something was going to happen. You know, there'd been discussions about it all night.
March the 2nd, everyone was tired. They had pushed people to their edge because the police had been waking people up at early hours of the night.
I actually was so exhausted because I knew that it was happening. My friend rang me up the night before and was like, get your vehicle out of there. The cops are coming in and they're taking vehicles. And I was just like, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay.
It was just like, enough is enough. Here's the line in the sand. And what else are we supposed to do? Media won't listen. Politicians won't listen. No one's prepared to discuss an open debate. What are we left with that doesn't turn into total anarchy? And it's a sense of just standing in solidarity.
I got up, brushed my teeth, put some clothes on, walked around, nothing was happening. I went and lied down, and I just lied down with my door open in my car thinking, I'll hear the noises. And then, 10 to 6, the noises started.
So they've got a chopper there and 2 forklifts. And this is a crazy excessive amount of police. Paramedics here, so I think there might be a bit of a scuffle. Heaps of mainstreaming here. Like we said before, they always get tipped off by the police before anything big happens. What is that? Again though, how insane is this? We've got choppers, we've got hundreds of police everywhere, and Jacinda can't even come out and address the concerns of her citizens. So basically it's 2 classes, either you agree with her or you don't agree with her, and that's what dictates 2 classes.
Occupiers of Aitken Street, this is the New Zealand Police. Which way? The street is now closed under the Policing Act. You now need to leave.
Where's your paper?
Fail to comply or obstruction of police may result in your arrest.
I'm aware that when they moved in, there was psychology and even the noise they made, like that move. They wanted to have the worst impact they could on us. I remember the sheer terror in myself that if I didn't move right now, I'm going to get very hurt.
Street, this is the police. You need to leave this area. Aitken Street is now closed under the Policing Act.
We started walking up the road to see what was going on, and ahead of me you could see this big line up of police, and you could see there was a lot of them all the way up Hill Street.
Supposedly there was 1,000 cops coming. Also, I remember being out on the road when they just came running down the road towards everyone, and the few people that were up there on that street were running towards us as the police were running after them, and that was a scary time.
They came for a fight, yelling, move, hitting anybody that they came across with their shields. And those shields are hard, I can tell you, because I got hit 3 times by them.
They turned up with riot gear and tear gas and pepper spray and batons and shields and masks and sound guns and rubber bullets, and we had nothing. And I was watching them and just watching them be brutal, just running over people. Like, they weren't even trying to arrest people, they were just running over them, just full force.
They were intent, they were coming through. This time there was a total different atmosphere. It was almost like they'd been told, you do whatever you have to do. You know, the first line we had, you could stand and talk with the police. This time, this was going to happen, they were going to push us out. It was a military operation as far as I'm concerned. To me, this whole thing almost seemed to be about how far can we push it. One of the aspects, they introduced new types of pepper spray. You had police officers using fire extinguishers, sound guns, the LRAD units. Who knows what the capabilities of these things are? They're a military weapon. They create anxiety. It was a real testing ground for use of these weapons. and they are weapons, and I think we're going to see them used a lot more.
So it was just this sad feeling of watching these police hurt people, and there was nothing we can do. It was just about supporting each other through that, because it was so hard to just turn around and accept defeat when what the police were doing was even worse than what we thought was taking place in our country. Because we thought it was just the media lying and the government lying and people being given false information, and to actually see the police brutalising people that they knew had been peaceful. So they'd seen it with their own eyes that the people had been peaceful, and they still moved in and attacked.
Open your eyes, bro. There's only a way it's going to come out. Yep.
Officers, the judge and your union revoked the mandates that were illegal. They revoked the mandates, which meant, why isn't our mandates revoked? So your mates can now return back to work because the judge found it to be illegal. So you are enforcing an illegal legislation that we're still bound by. I've lost my job, I've lost my business. So you're not our enemy, you're not our enemy. But you've got to make a choice. Those ones above you are not the ones that are standing on this front line, it's you guys. So be with us, stand with us. But we're going to hold our line, it's our human right to protest. It's our right to be here, to get your senator to listen to the people that you're meant to serve, protect and uphold the peace. But you're enforcing and pepper spraying and brutally dragging our people, that's not right. I'm speaking to your heart, I know you got a heart. But we ain't going nowhere until Jacinda listens and until the mandates are revoked, like the police and the military. If they can revoke that, every other mandate is illegal.
What are you going to tell your children in 10 years' time? Are you going to tell them that you went in with riot gear against unarmed people? Is that what you're going to tell them? Because my conscience is clear. I can look my children in the eye. My children can't go to a library. My children can't go to a swimming school. My children can't even go to bloody therapy.
Peace and love, 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 peace and love.
Your thoughts that violence will cure this problem is completely wrong. You might temporarily silence us, but I'm telling you now, the New Zealand public that are in favour of these protests are much, much greater in number than you. And if you think that you win this battle today and we're going to stop talking, you've got another thing coming. Look at the people in front of you, sister. Do we look like we're fringe? We're not fringe. We represent every strata of New Zealand society. Wake up! The people are speaking to you, all of you. You're not gonna win by being violent. What have you done to the beautiful country I was raised in? I was raised in the best country in the world. Now what have we got? We've got tyranny. We've got lack of freedom. We can't say what we want to say. Remember when she said, they are us. Us. We are no longer part of the us. I want to say to all you protesters, do not be discouraged. Hold the line. No great battle ends without a greater battle beginning. This is a clarion call to all of you, my friends. We need to rise to the occasion, stand up, be courageous, don't give in to the nonsense. don't give in to the tyranny. I say this to all the protesters. God bless you. Jesus is our sure hope. He stands for the truth, and the truth sets us free.
The police look tired as. How are they tired? They're actually not that tired. These people have been here for 21 days. The police have gone home to showers and food, and they've known the plans of what's happening. None of these people have. They've been kept in this eternal state of stress and fear and anxiety, and then woken up at all times of the day by police who know what are going on. So I do not feel like the police are that tired. These people are tired, and the fact they're still standing here peacefully and bravely says a whole lot about their strength of character. Oh look, here we are, they're going, they're running in. They're running in as well, grabbing people. Look, they're all running in. There's police everywhere now. They're tear gassing everyone. People are screaming everywhere. Ripping everyone's stuff out. People are freaking out, obviously. People are scared. Keep in mind, everyone, this is happening because Jacinda refuses to acknowledge the fact that she was wrong about the mandates helping prevent the spread. She refuses to acknowledge that we're all citizens of the country. In her own words, she wants two classes of people.
You are not a Kiwi. Kiwis don't do that to each other. People want their jobs back. People want their jobs back. People want their jobs back. You are not doing your job. We believe in our freedom. We believe in our hope. We believe in our people. We stand for. We stand for freedom. There's no freedom for yourself. Just a puppet. Turn away from the police line.
This officer needs to be arrested. There's 10,000 people watching you.
Officers, calm down. Officers, calm down. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go. We come in peace. Remain peaceful, officers.
Jacinda Ardern, this is what you've created, mainstream media, guys. You wanted this, right?
You wanted this, you wanted to portray the protesters as dirty people. Did you get your wish? Are you happy, mainstream media? Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted for your citizens, mainstream media? Because you made this animal.
I think I'm just gutted because of what was destroyed.
To stand there and experience being pepper sprayed, having to put in earplugs because of the sound waves they were using, it was scary. You couldn't even believe it was reality.
You know, they had a job to do. I'm not saying they didn't, and it was finishing that day one way or the other. But it broke my heart that it had come to this. I saw my mates getting fire extinguishers sprayed on them. I saw the aggression of the police, and watching it getting torn apart was just really heartbreaking.
They raided us at night time. They wore us down mentally, physically, on purpose to be able to attack. On that day, we had no weapons, and yet they were charging at us with shields, bodysuits, as though we were coming at them with bombs and guns. And so yes, there were people that retaliated, but nowhere near in the way they came at us.
It definitely didn't have to be violent. And I think if the government had the humility to listen to the people that actually pay them, then they could have ended it peacefully. But they didn't want to talk, they didn't want to listen. They just continued to ridicule, mock and demonise the people that were there. So it was their choice to make it end violently.
What I saw was the government creating this narrative about people, calling them a river of filth, and they're using the media to perpetuate that hate. Not once were these protesters running towards the police. It was only ever the police moving forward on them. And that's the side of the story that didn't get shown.
You know, and you've got to start to question, why didn't the media want to engage? There was nothing stopping them from coming down and having a cordial with us. But instead what you saw on the mainstream media was the police officers laden with protective gear as if they were going to war. We weren't war. We weren't there to battle. We were standing with our backs to the police officers.
What we've got is a government that's got no respect for the people that they're supposed to represent. And we had a police commissioner who acknowledged that there would be violence if the police moved in, and who acknowledged that it was a peaceful protest, and yet somehow got convinced to attack the people of New Zealand.
I think the former Prime Minister's legacy is division. First, you dehumanise them, so you give them another label. You know, they're hysterical, they're violent, they're anti-vaxxers, they're anti-mandators, but not that they're uncles, fathers, husbands, dads, cousins. You know, you dehumanise them and then you can treat them as something totally different. And that's just another tactic the media used. And it's just sad that they use it and they know they're using it and they're proud of it. That's what is a bit scary, really.
The fact that no politicians took the time to come and speak to us just reinforces the fact that there was something else going on, because the politicians are there to represent us. So they should have been speaking to us. And what did Jacinda say? They haven't really told us what they want, and there was, 2 metre by 3 metre signs saying drop the mandates and we'll leave. It was blatantly obvious what we wanted. So it's obvious that there's something else going on.
This protest was about freedom of speech, about us being able to express our concerns. A healthy society has to have some voice of opposition, even if it's just the brakes, to slow things down, to say, come on, let's just have a look at this. It's healthy. When we get divergence of thoughts, we get to explore new ways of thinking. And through new ways of thinking, new solutions come up that benefit both sides, because we have to work together to come up with a solution.
Freedom of speech is your first freedom to go. Once you lose freedom of speech, all your freedoms will go. Freedom of speech is basically the barrier to the loss of the rest of your freedoms. And if people want the ability to challenge something that a government's doing, they have got to fight for freedom of speech.
And, we really have no choice. If we just carry on doing what we've always done, we'll keep getting more of lack of democracy and the squashing of people's spirit. Everything we love about New Zealand is at stake. Everything about humanity and being a human being in a community is at stake. Everything we thought was just our birthright is at stake. It's all up for grabs.
I can see why the government wanted to destroy it. It would have been quite threatening to them. There was a village, there was roads, there was medic tents, there was sound tents, there was places to go and get clothing, there was food tents. And then for the next 3 weeks, everyone lived together, all different races, all different walks of life, all different classes. Yeah, all the desperation was gone. Doesn't matter what you look like or where you come from, you're all the same. And to be part of that is so amazing. To see that New Zealand can be that way. To see that Kiwis can band together when they really, really need to.
We know democracy isn't about Prime Ministers dividing people. And we know an MP's job is not to incite hatred. Nor is it the media's job to gaslight us or the police's job to attack us. And we know there is no single source of truth, and democracy and freedom of speech is not about silencing speech. It's about allowing all voices to be heard. But maybe this wasn't about any of that. Maybe it was never about a virus and mandates and passports and locking people out. Maybe this was about change. And maybe it's actually them that's fighting to keep their positions of control and power in an age when information and truth is the property of us all. And maybe they're losing. So perhaps when we turned our backs, we were actually turning them on the gaslighting and the corruption and the division. And maybe from this rubble, we walked away and began building a new way, one that values truth and community and freedom of speech. And maybe one day they'll realise we're gone and they'll come and join us. Maybe that's what we came here for.
Come in peace, come in peace, come in peace. This message we teach. Love and compassion is the core of our vision. Yes, love and compassion, compassion, compassion is the core of our vision. We are here, we are here, we are here. We are making loud noises. Oh, we are here, we are here, we are here. Can you hear our voices? 'Cause we are awake. Make no mistake. choices. We are here, we are here, we are here, 'cause we have choices. And we are waiting. Make no mistake. Yes, we're awake. Make no mistake.